Hey guys, and welcome to the Hobby News. Alright, Warhammer Plus. Well, it's been revealed, and this is a few days later now, so I hope everyone's had a chance to have a look, but I thought I'd give my 2 cents on it. Yeah, I mean, look, it's pretty much what we all thought it was going to be, and I've got some thoughts. It's not, I guess, this little review or early impression isn't going to be all negative, but certainly there's some elements here, or I thought I'd just maybe separate out what I think this really is and what it isn't. You know what I mean? Because there's certainly some elements in here which are pretty cool and something that you might want, and then there are other elements that in here that really, although could potentially be cool, probably won't be worth the value of what you're ultimately getting out of this. So let's get into it. Take a little look at what they're offering, and then I'll break down what I think might be good or bad or whatever at the end. So we'll come along and have a look. So Warhammer Plus is unmissable. Well, yeah, we'll see. Here's everything you need to know. Well, let's take a look at what they've got in this package. So it's going to be launches on the 25th of August, and we'll get to the cost in a second, but we'll just see what it's all about. So you're getting Warhammer animations. You're getting the hobby show stuff, the Warhammer TV, which is essentially just YouTube. So I don't understand why they're putting this into the package, but anyway, it's there. This is one of those elements that I think, I'm not sure what the value is here, but it will show you further down. We'll just go through it. A digital vault of classic Warhammer publications and White Dwarf issues, so backlog of their older publication stuff. I guess that's kind of cool for those that like to read lots of lore and stuff like that. Full access to the apps. This is good. So this element here, this is like, I guess, the first element that's kind of important, and how much they're going to add to these apps is also probably a relevant thing here. And then premium access to our official events. That's okay, but very situational. Exclusive subscriber offers. That's probably the key. Apart from the apps, this is probably the most important thing, which they don't tell you anything about. So this exclusive subscriber offers is really what everyone wants to know, because that's creating the haves and have-nots situation, because Games Workshop is a miniature and games making company. It's not a streaming service, making movies and whatever, TV shows, that sort of thing. So, although the animations is cool, this is what we actually want to know about. We want to know what's included in the apps and what's this special offers thing, because that's really what you're paying for here. And then, which I'll further break down in a second. A free exclusive Citadel miniature. This is nice, although I feel like they should have just given you, so there are 2 on offer. I feel like they should have just given you both. Access to the second subscriber miniature, yeah, access to it, so you can buy it. But they should have just really given you both, I kind of feel like. At least in the first couple of years, until they've got their foot, planted firmly on the ground, and then maybe cut it back to 1. But I think the initial launch year, they should have just given you both. That would have drawn more people in. But anyway, that's just a little side note. Doesn't really matter, but 1 is nice, I guess. So, if you think about it like going to Games Day in the good old days, you'd get the miniature and the ticket price one, and you'd have a miniature, that kind of thing. So that's okay. So now it's going to be released on the 25th of August. They'll have obviously more details. So there's more details to come. This is just an initial overview of what's going on here. And you can either pay monthly, so in pounds and USD, this is like kind of nice for those of us on the other side of the world in Australia or other countries that have I guess higher price points for all this stuff. It's probably going to be something around about $10 to $12 a month if you're in Australia, or probably a little bit more if you're in New Zealand and other countries. So what are you really paying for? You're paying for around about that for 2 apps, pretty much, and a free model. So it's not bad, but it's okay. But, really the important part is exclusive subscriber offers. That's what's really going to make this. And you get a bit of a discount if you pay, a full year, which is probably the best way to do it. And that means you're only sort of paying for like 10 months instead of 12. So, we'll come down here, we'll move past all of these. So the free miniature. So we've got two that you're going to get each year. Okay, and this year it's this Vindicare assassin and an orc. So the thing about these miniatures is that I'm happy for them to be like this, actually, because I was kind of worried they would produce like key units that you would need for armies, and put it behind a paywall. That'd be really, really bad. So I'm glad that they're just random models that don't have any relevance to anything, and you could either like them or not, or whatever, right? And that's nice, just like a Games Day model is. It's just like a random model that they make that's kind of cool, that paint up, whatever. And you just pick that, and that's nice. So I'm glad that it's that sort of thing, and not like a key unit for an army that you can only get through a paywall. I think that would be really, really tragic. But it's nice that it's like this. So yeah, they're cool. You just pick one, whatever. If you like both, I suppose you get both. But that's fine. It does say, so if we have a look, so I'll have a look at the close-up here. So yeah, look, I mean, it's a cool model. This is a little bit strange, the way it's been attached to this base. I find that a bit odd, but this is a nice terrain feature. I would just take this off this and put this guy on like a normal like bit of rubble or something, and have him pointing his gun, and then I would use this for a terrain piece or something like that, because that's a really nice sculptural piece. But I wouldn't want to have it, like this on a table using him as an actual playable model. That sort of feels a bit weird, but whatever. And then we have the orc here. The orc's nice, it's pretty cool. I can see a lot of orc players liking this for conversions and stuff like that. I actually see this being useful more in 40k. So this is like a nice base for a conversion for a 40k war boss, more so than fantasy. I think there's definitely some good options here for an orc player for that. So you might see that's a pretty usable model. The Vindicare is more situational. But yeah, look, they're both nice models. But the most important part here is these models are only the beginning. There'll be new exclusive miniatures each year, and you'll get one free for every year you stay subscribed. We'll have more on these at a later date, so stay tuned for information. Obviously, there will be some terms and conditions. So the idea basically is that you're only going to get this at the end of your year subscription. I'm hoping that that's for your month-to-month one. So it says, you'll be shipped out around the 1 year anniversary, and that's fine if you're doing the month to month. But if you pay up front for a full year, they should be giving you this straight away, because you've already paid for it. Making you wait for 12 months for it doesn't seem worthwhile, unless their production times are that they're producing these to suit for that year period, I guess. But that kind of seems a bit weird. If you're going to be good enough to pay up front each year, you should probably get it like straight away, and not have to wait for 12 months to see it, because you've already paid. Even if you stop your subscription, you've already paid for that full year, so you should get the model like when you pay. But who knows how they're going to do that for yearly subscriptions that pay up front. But overall, it's fine. It doesn't beat any of the Patreons that are out there, which is the main issue I see with this free models thing, is that any standard Patreon out there that offers three models each month at like $10-15 a month, they're giving you usually something between 30 and 50 models a month. They're on a production scale that rivals Games Workshop on a year-round basis. Like I'm talking like Loot Studios or something like that. Those guys produce something like 50 models a month. Every month it's like over 300 something plus models a year. That's basically on the same production scale as Games Workshop for their major game systems, and you're getting that for about $200 a year. So yeah, I don't know how well this is going to go down for them, but who knows? They might do some really cool stuff. But it's not a gripe on them. It's just like I find this Warhammer Plus thing a little bit. Anyway, we'll go into it. It's cool, but they're facing a tough road ahead if they're gonna compete with what else is out there, especially considering how prevalent 3D printing is, and how much those Patreons are actually offering people every month. I mean, it outstrips this on so many levels. So I don't know, like really what you're paying for here ultimately is those apps and the special offers bit, and this is just a sweetener to basically offset the cost per year, because these would be worth, if they were models that they released, they'd be something like about $60 Australian, $80 Australian for a limited model like this, something around about there. So yeah, you're basically getting that as an offset. So we'll come down here. So the animations. Now I don't want to gripe on the animations too much because the creators of these are all really awesome. They're all just hobbyists like us. You know, they've been outside of Games Workshop. They've now been put into the company, and good for them. You know, that's great. You know, they put a lot of hard work in to get noticed, like the Astartes guys and so on. And that's great that they're finally getting a chance to do this officially, and that's awesome. But the chances of the animations here being able to keep up as like a streaming service kind of a thing, I very much doubt that. There you might see like maybe like 1 or 2 animations a year. It takes a long time to produce animations, and given the way Games Workshop, you know, does business, the amount of support that these guys are going to get in-house is probably not going to be huge. I'd be very surprised if they did. There was I think it was Mini Wargaming, their Chaos Shrine interviews. I think they interviewed one guy that was an ex-Games Workshop guy, and he just alluded to the fact of the way they like to do things, and he was talking about Warhammer community page. So that's a great page, but the way it started, what he said that they normally do is, you know, they'll get a couple of guys from the company to start this little project out, but not fund it very much, right? And it'll be on a very low funding basis, and they've got to prove that it actually works before they'll throw more money into it. And that's normal practices, I guess, for most businesses, right? So this is in that early phase stage, so it's likely that they're not going to get like huge amounts of support, and these guys are going to be busting their ass, you know, every month, working overtime to try to get these things out and get it to the public. So if you're buying a subscription for like streaming content, like this type of thing, I think you're going to be a little bit disappointed, not from the quality of these. I mean, they're all really cool animations and everything, but just the number that you're getting, you know, when you compare that to something like Netflix, you know what I mean, or Amazon Prime or whatever. I mean, it's not comparable at all. So, you know, I think that's all. It's a positive and a shame the way this is going, because in some ways it's cool, in some ways it's not. And really it's on an individual basis, how much you value these things, you know, in its totality. But, you know, it's still there, and it's great that it's being produced. But I really feel for the creators that are doing this, because they're going to be so overworked. You know, they're going to be, if they thought they were working their butt off before when they were outside the company, guess how hard they're going to be working when they're inside. It's a lot. I mean, I've worked for Games Workshop before here in Australia, and you know, the amount of overtime, like I'm not griping at it. I've loved working for the company. Like, don't get me wrong here. I'm not, you know, I'm definitely, you know, I guess, you know, someone who's had a positive experience, you know, with the company. So I was never burnt out or anything like that. I had a great time. It was awesome back in the early days. And but you do a lot of overtime, a lot of unpaid work. You know, you'd be there for hours and hours after the store closes and all that kind of stuff. You know, painting models for the store, doing all kinds of things. You know, all sorts of stuff. And you'll be there. You do like hundreds of hours that aren't paid, and very happily do it because you love the hobby, right? So that's what these guys are going to be doing. But so their burnout rate is going to be pretty high as the years go through, as it was even in retail in Games Workshop. The burnout rate's very high because you do put so much of yourself in it, and that's not a gripe on the company. That's just something that you as a person take on yourself to do because you love it, right? So that's always been an issue when you work for Games Workshop, is managing your own energy levels and trying to actually like get through each year without actually like just killing yourself over something that you love. And they're definitely going to be in for a hard road, I would imagine. And so we'll see how this goes. I hope it succeeds for their sake, but they're going to have to watch their energy levels for sure. It's going to be very, very tough for them. So let's hope that they produce some cool stuff and it gets supported. But yeah, lumping this together with this Warhammer Plus, I'm not really sure whether that's a very good idea. I would have, I don't know. Anyway, it's not for me. I'm not, you know, running a multi-million-dollar company or whatever. That's not my choice. But yeah, I just feel for the creators behind this. I think it's going to be a tough road for them. But anyway, we'll move on. And then we've got the Warhammer TV stuff. Now this, I've got no idea why this is in their bundle, because this is never going to compete with, just the more than a decade's worth of free content that exists on YouTube by other creators, now including myself. Like, you know, we know all the big channels that are out there that produce really high-end content for both gaming and hobby. I mean, their content just can't compete with that. It's just period. I don't understand why this is in there. They could just keep this free and just keep this out. It's a superfluous thing tacked on to their Warhammer Plus. I don't think it does them any service to put this inside of that. They should just leave that out of Warhammer Plus. And I don't know why an accountant or someone that's inside of that looking at what they're offering didn't just say, yeah, just cut this out. That this doesn't need to be there. I mean, it's nice, I guess, that it is, but it's not really, like, no one really is going to want to, like, this isn't the reason why you're getting Warhammer Plus. It's just not very, I don't know. It just seems like it doesn't need to be there. Just keep it as free content on YouTube or whatever, and use that to draw people into your product. That's what that's all about, right? Yeah, I'm not really sure what this is all about. And, learn advanced techniques, it's never going to be anything like, think about like, man, there's so many of them. Sam Lens, all those different channels that do like high-end painting videos. There's so many of them. The Richard Gray guy, the multi Golden Demon winning, Slayer Sword winning painter or whatever that has a channel. Like, I think it's Richard Gray, isn't it? Yeah, there's so many like high-end Golden Demon winning, Slayer Sword winning guys that have YouTube channels that you're going to go to first for if you want high-end masterclass stuff. The in-house Games Workshop guys are going to be good at painting, but I'm not sure who's, the heavy metal guys don't have time to produce this type of content, so I don't know who's actually going to be doing this. And maybe it's the heavy metal guys, but again, I'm feeling very sad for them because they've got to do so much work. That's going to be more on top, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But hey, it's in there. It's nice, I guess. It's not a bad thing, but it's just like, it feels like they've packed too many things that don't need to be in this package for my, I guess, sensibility on this, and they should focus more on the couple of things that we're really buying this for, and just only focus on that and put all your resources just into that and keep the other things separate. I think that would have been a cleaner way to do it, and then what that would allow them to do over time, over the years, as they want to increase the price on this, which is obviously going to happen, you can then add those in as, oh wow, look what we're doing now, and get these things up to the quality level first outside of this pay model, and make sure that it is actually going to deliver, and then people will be more happy to then have that as an added feature. I think that would be nicer, but I guess that's just a different model, right? A different design. But it's cool that it's there. I'm not like downing it. I'm just, I don't understand really why it needs to be there. Really, all this stuff could just be on their YouTube channel. But anyway, and their battle reports, they're going to have that. Again, I don't know how this is going to compete, because there's so many good battle report channels that have been doing it for years and have really high value content. With an established viewer base, I don't really understand how they're going to compete with that, because part of all of this type of content is the personalities, the YouTube channel personalities that you watch for, right? Like Tabletop Tactics and Titans and all that stuff, all those different channels. You're not just watching for Battle Report or mini wargaming. You're watching because you enjoy the guys that are actually playing the game. And so they've got a long road ahead of them to build up that kind of rapport with the hobby community, to get people really watching this over and over again. So I don't know how that's going to go for them. As I said, I think they should have just done it free for a while, and then try to like iron out all the issues and build up support before they lump this into a Warhammer Plus. But it's there now, right? So anyway, we'll move on from that. Then we have the apps. Now this is the really interesting bit. This is really the reason why you're buying this. So you've got it's going to include, so it says Battleforge Army Builder and the Crusade Manager, I guess. This Crusade thing, is nice for people that are doing like little group games and stuff. Battleforge thing is, I think, pretty cool, but it doesn't really talk about how much of the army books, digital army books or rulebook or whatever is included in that. I'm assuming you're going to get some of it. I'm not really quite sure. It doesn't really tell you exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they're planning stuff like that, so we'll see. We're also building a new companion, so it's like a app for Age of Sigmar and Warhammer Plus subscribers, so you'll be able to access premium tier access. So hopefully that means you get more of the rules that are digital, but it doesn't exactly tell you, and I'm not sure whether they really know exactly how far they're going to add, I guess. But it's nice, a more full version of the app, I guess. That's pretty cool, and you'll get a bit more access to that. So that's, if you're playing regularly, this kind of, $10 a month or whatever it is probably going to be fine for these apps if you're playing regularly. And if they add more content to those apps and make it more full, then that's great, right? So let's wait and see. We'll hold our breath on that. I don't think there's really, we have much information here to really know for sure. And then we come down here, we've got the vault. This would be good for some guys. I can see this being nice. That's all backlog of stuff that you want to read or whatever. That's pretty cool, but it's not the reason why you're paying for this. But it is nice that it's there. That's a nice touch. I think if in the future they've got a way for you to, that's in that special offers thing that they don't talk about, but if you end up being able to have access to digital army books, the rule book and so on, I think that's where this becomes really, really important. If they start offering that, even if you've got to buy it through this, I think people would definitely jump on this if you're getting access to full digital content, so you don't have to lug books and a whole host of books to a tournament and stuff like that, or to your mate's house or whatever. That's where the value of this is going to come if they fully digitize, and I hope that that's the direction they go in. And so then you'll pay $10 a month, so you'll have a full app that has all of the information you need inside of it, plus access to buying the digital army books that you want, and maybe you get access, partial access or some sort of access to the other armies, so you can at least sample and figure out whether you want to buy the full versions of those or whatever. Something like that would be fine. Let's hope it sort of moves in a more digital direction. That's nice. But for the moment, it's a bit up in the air as to what extras you're really getting. There's also no talk of audio books and Black Library. That seems to be out of this for the moment. So who knows whether that comes into it or not. But I know a lot of people have been speculating on that. So that's another sort of element to this. Will that eventually end up in this? Who knows? Maybe in years to come it will. But for now, what you're really getting with this is, the two apps. You get a model to offset the cost, and this special offers thing, which is really what we want to see, what's coming with that. And I guess we'll know by August, right, what the deal is. Now we've got this event extras. Now this is really situational. If you're in America or in England, that's going to really be cool for you if you can go to the events. For everyone else around the world, this is pretty much not nothing, but basically it's not giving you anything, because in Australia you can't go to anything that's a Warhammer event unless they start doing roadshows in every country. Sure, then you might get a chance to, like a games day again. That'll be great, but the chance of that happening are pretty slim. But maybe they're deciding that. I'd be very, very surprised if they went back into that whole thing of doing huge games days again. That feels like that went out a long time ago. That was like back when I was working the company that stopped. You know what I mean? Like that was stopping a long time ago. So yeah, I don't know whether this is cool for some people basically, but it's not a reason to buy the Warhammer Plus app. Like that's just like a little added extra if you can actually enjoy it. So that's basically pretty much what it is. So we'll go through that again. So the real thing that you're buying this for is the apps, a more full version of the apps, hopefully with more rules and more stuff inside of it. I'm hoping, although it doesn't really tell you that. It's pretty light on the information side, but if you're already getting these apps, then you'll probably just do this because it's pretty much the same cost, and you'll just have these apps, and then you get a free model which offsets the cost, and you have access to that special offers thing, which isn't even on this list, but that's really what you're looking for, because what everyone thinks it's going to be is probably early access to pre-orders and stuff like that. If that ends up being the case, you will definitely want this for those reasons. You offset the cost with the model, you have the apps, and then you get access to early orders on new release product, which is really what it's about. Now, if they somehow offer into that special offers, digital army books and so on, like rules and so on, into that offer, that makes this worthwhile for $10 a month or whatever it is, right? All this other stuff, sorry, creators of this content, that's not... it's just flat out not good enough. For as a streaming service, this isn't enough. YouTube has far more free content that outstrips this in every way, and every other streaming service on the planet outstrips this. So this can't keep up. I feel really bad for the guys that are in these departments that are going to be producing content, because they just can't keep up. It's not going to be enough. So, this is great, and I'm glad it exists, but this really shouldn't be in this. This should be separate and shouldn't be here, because that's putting so much pressure on those guys to perform. It's not a good model. You don't even need it in here. What you need is this to be amazing, the apps to be amazing, the special offers to be amazing, and then, this lore content, that's great. You can go back and read it, but, that's the part that really needs to be top notch, and everything else shouldn't be part of this, and you would still pay the money for it. That's what I'm saying. Like, they didn't need to do this. They could have just had it, the apps, the special offers, and the free model, and the backlog of their lore. That's fine, and that would be it. You don't even need the VIP tickets, you don't need the animations, you don't need Warhammer TV. You just need that to be really good, and you would still pay this price. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but that's what I think. I think they should have just focused on this digital content that they're producing, these apps, and make that as good, because at the end of the day, they're a miniatures company. They're not a streaming house, an animation house. They're not a Netflix that produces shows. They don't have the infrastructure to really make that super high end and worth it per month compared to their competition. So I don't really understand why it's there. It just needs to be this. Their app and their game needs to be digital version supported for the models that they produce, and that would be enough. That would be more than enough for us hobbyists to enjoy and all of that stuff. And that would leave these things still open to catch people that are outside the hobby and bring them in. I think this model will change over time, because I think that kind of thing will end up happening, or it'll be moved into a different tier, something like that, and then people will just pay for these things, because that's ultimately all we want. I mean, these are amazing things to exist, the sort of animation stuff and so on, but it's not really the reason why we're in the hobby. We're not an animation hobby. We're a gaming, miniatures, tabletop, painting, modeling, gaming, creative kind of thing, and that's really where it's at. So I won't waffle on too much more on this. This is just my early thoughts on it. I do hope it succeeds, and that they manage to rearrange this into a format that works for what hobbyists actually need for their hobby, and that's really got to do with things like digital formatting of rules and a database for you to access that's robust and updates regularly and so on. Because right now, I guess Battlescribe really still outstrips this, you know what I mean? And that's free, or you can pay them and have the version without the ads and stuff, and that's probably better than what they're offering right now for this. So they've got some competition on their hands. Battlescribe is very good. It has has the data sheets in there, all that kind of stuff. So what else is this giving you that's going to outstrip Battlescribe? I don't know. It's difficult to understand how they're going to go forward with this, and they've put a lot of pressure on themselves to add in, because these couple of things here need to be good, for people to really want to pay year in, year out. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I am still excited to see what they offer, and excited to see how this goes. I'm certainly not negative towards it, but I do feel there's some weird choices here that put a lot of pressure on themselves as a business. Like, I certainly wouldn't start out with all of this. I would just start out, as I said, with the main thing why people are actually buying this. And they should know that anyway. They know why we're buying it. We're not buying it for anything else. They need, basically, I've heard a lot of people talk about this. They need to have more confidence in themselves, right? With the thing that they actually make that people love. They don't need to tack on a bunch of other stuff. Just focus on the singular thing that we really want, and that we need to make our experience within the hobby better, and just produce that. And we'll pay. We're a willing audience. We'll pay whatever they charge most of the time, right? The year in, year out, we're paying. And so just make that better, and just stick with that. And that works, and everything else can be, in a different sphere. So hopefully they'll do that, and there'll be tiers and so on, and then you'll pay for actually what you want, and they'll get to see what the customer base are actually paying for and what they actually want, and they'll adjust, and this will adjust over time, hopefully. So I won't waffle on too more. It's just a subject that obviously I'm passionate on. I love this hobby, and I want everyone's experience in the hobby to be a positive one. That's always been something that I've always wanted for people and to have a good experience, and even when I was working for the company, you'd always be trying to give people the best experience they can, and helping them in every way. That was at a different time in Games Workshop history when the stores were much more interactive with their customer base. They're not now, but like it was on a different level. And so you're always pouring so much of your energy into helping people. I mean, that's the reason why I started my channel, to put out that tutorial content and that educational content and topical content, to have that discussion with you, the audience, and the other hobbyists that are out there, the community, and share in those skills and those ideas and those creative pursuits, and level up everyone's hobby together, as a community. And that's something that I've always loved doing, and that's what this Warhammer Plus should be, is like an additive to that, a way to increase the enjoyment and the love of this thing that we all are into, and for most of us, almost our whole lives, in some way, shape or form. Even if you drop out, you're still kind of connected to it always, especially if you'd started this when you were a kid. Even if you drop out for years and years, you'll find yourself going back to it over and over again throughout your life, because there's something about this experience and models in general, and that sort of tactile thing, and the interaction with other people with that tactile thing, that is just so attractive. It just draws you in all the time. That's not including the imagery and everything else about it, but just that basic level of creativity and interaction with other people is a really important feature of this, which is why I think we all continually come back to it, and why it's still continuing this day, even in the face of computer games and a digital age. It still manages to thrive. So that's a real testament to this type of hobby and what it is. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Hope you haven't fallen asleep listening to me waffle on. If you have, thank you very much. Please hit that subscribe button, like button. It really helps me out. But I guess I'll catch you on the next one.